Hello, my dear friends, and welcome to another episode of Europa Rediviva. Today I don't have much to say in terms of politics, but I'd like to definitely advise you to visit the south of Spain, the province of Andalucía, because you'll get some very interesting architecture, the Mozárabe architectural style from the times of the Caliphate. And it's a really interesting style, both in terms of religious buildings like mosques. There are several that are converted into churches, like, for example, the one behind me, the great cathedral of Cordoba, which used to be the capital of the Caliphate of Cordoba. And also these villas that have this inner patio, not sure how to pronounce it, with an inner courtyard with water fountain, with an inner garden, with trees, and it's a very interesting Arabic type of dwelling, Arabic type of architecture that became prominent here in the times of Al-Andalus, and subsequently influenced the local architectural style, and it became a trademark of Andalucía until today. There are all of these spaces, even though it's a very dry area, there are all of these spaces with inner irrigation systems. The palaces that the Moors built, the palaces of the Caliphate, had their own cooling systems made up of, on the one hand, shade in these inner gardens given by these trees that they planted, and these streams, these fountain systems carrying water, cold water, and circulating it through the palace and thus cooling it. And so as a consequence of this, there are these very luxurious areas, these very luxurious palaces that have also inspired civilian dwellings, as I was saying. And this is perhaps a good point of reflection with respect to the mixed Islamic Christian heritage, like this mosque converted to a cathedral, and in general the sort of living together between the Christian and the Muslim communities in Europe, which is a rather contemporary issue as well. So during the Reconquista, it was either or. They were finally expelled or assimilated, the Moors of the south of Spain, and Islam did not continue its presence, and it made a comeback in the last decades through this immigration from the north of Africa, across the Strait of Gibraltar, across the Mediterranean. And there are several Western European countries that face this issue. France, most famously, Britain to some extent. But my impression is that this type of living together of the two communities, because the Muslim community does not exactly assimilate, it does not exactly integrate, it sees no reason to abandon Islam once it emigrates to Europe. So I see some opportunities arising from this living together. There's a lot of propaganda regarding the Islamization of Europe. I'm not buying it. I see that it's financed by a large degree by Israel, guess what, and by these neoconservative circles in the United States, whose purpose is also to sow disdain within European societies and to provide the ideological foundation for the defense of what Israel is doing in the Middle East. Essentially, stoking hatred against Muslims is a premise for the conclusion that Israel is doing the right thing by genociding them. This is kind of the two-step solution that Israeli propaganda has decided upon to use in Europe. And I see that there are also opportunities stemming from this living together. So, for example, during the vaccine crusade, during the pandemic, there were two forces in the Netherlands, whose situation I know better out of all the Western European countries, there were two main forces adamantly opposed to the forced genetic vaccination. And one force was the nativists, was made up of parties like Forum for Democracy, but also SGP, Staatskundige Hervormde Partij, an ultra-Protestant, ultra-reformed party. And at the same time, DENK, the party of the Turks. As I said in some previous videos, there were these mixed opposition signals from religious circles, irrespective of religion. So on the one hand, you had the hardcore Protestants, the Calvinists, and at the other religious side of the spectrum, you had the Turks. And the Turks, and in general the Muslims in the Netherlands, had quite a low vaccination rate, and they distrusted these vaccine products tremendously. And this is one example. The Turkish party in the Netherlands, which is in parliament, is also opposed to sanctions against Russia because it wants to expand the welfare state, of which the Turkish community is a great beneficiary of. And in doing so, it wants to not lose public funds on these idiotic quests, on these illusory quests like rearmament, because the Netherlands is not in danger of being attacked by anybody. It is just part of this mixed project of NATO to somehow provoke Russia into creating a war in Europe, from which the US weapons manufacturers can benefit. But the Netherlands is not in a position to play ball on this situation, and there are quite some strong political forces opposing it, and one of them is the Turkish party, the party of the Turkish interests. And they also oppose the woke culture for understandable reasons. So I do see elements of collaboration between the nativists and the Muslim immigrants in these Western societies. It's not either or. I do not believe in either or in this case. I think there are quite a lot of societal themes in which common ground can be found on between these two communities, the nativists and the Muslim immigrants, because both of them share conservative values. So both of them are hard to engineer. Social engineering is hard to be done on people that have a strong moral matrix, a strong ethical matrix given by religion. So therefore, even though Islam and Christianity used to be in conflict decades ago, centuries ago, I see room for collaboration in opposing the secular forces and opposing the not the secular forces for the sake of secularism, because it's not the secularism that is the problem, but the corporate elite pushing down these social engineering programs and this agenda of taking over control of Western societies. So this can be opposed on religious grounds by both the Christians and the Muslims. And there are these, let's call them populist revolts going on among the natives of Western European countries that are perfectly compatible with the interests of the Muslim population. The Muslim population of Europe also does not want forced vaccinations with experimental products onto their children. They also do not want the woke agenda onto their children. And they also probably do not, surely they do not want European countries to be vassals of Israel and to support what Israel is doing there. So yeah, I think there is quite a lot of room for collaboration. And as I said, if you haven't visited Andalucía, you definitely should. The Alhambra Palace in Granada, the Grand Mosque of Cordoba, and actually every town, every city in this region has quite a lot of Moorish legacy. So Malaga has Gibralfaro and also some Moorish palace. Gibralfaro is a castle, but a Moorish castle, preserving these Moorish inner courtyards with water fountains, with pools and everything. So yeah, I definitely recommend it if you want to visit what in my opinion is the most beautiful, I'm not sure if religious architecture, but domestic architecture for sure. This type of architecture of the private life, the villas with these patios and with these inner fountains and courtyards that were built upon resembling the Moorish style of the Al-Andalus period. So this is what I wanted to tell you today. If you like what I do, like, share, subscribe, join my Telegram channel. And until next time, take care. Bye.